Welcome to the second reading in the Ledger Virtual Poetry Festival. I'm John Foulcher and I'm the festival's director. Over the next few months, you'll hear a variety of poets, all published by Pitt Street Poetry, reading a poem of their own and a poem by someone they love. Some poets will choose to do this as a single reading, others will do it as two separate readings over two separate days. As the Poetry Festival develops, we'd ask that other poets submit their readings for consideration as well, because this is poetry's time. As we become more isolated, as we move into ourselves, that's where poetry is. And we're hoping that these readings over the next few months can in some small measure help nourish and give us solace as these dark days continue. For my first reading, I'd like to read one of my favourite poems, which is by American poet Elizabeth Bishop, and it's called The Moose. It's a long narrative poem, but I think it's one of the most sublime poems ever written in English. The Moose. From narrow provinces of fish and bread and tea, home of the long tides where the bay leaves the sea twice a day and takes the herrings long rides, where if the river enters or retreats in a wall of brown foam depends on if it meets the bay coming in, the bay not at home, where silted red sometimes the sun sets facing a red sea, and others veins the flats lavender, rich mud in burning rivulets. On red, gravelly roads, down rows of sugar maples, past clapboard farmhouses and neat clapboard churches, bleached, ridged as clamshells, past twin silver birches, through late afternoon, a bus journeys west. The windshield flashing pink, pink glancing off of metal, brushing the dented flank of blue, beat up enamel, down hollows, up rises, and waits, patient, while a lone traveller kisses and embraces 7 relatives and a collie supervises. Goodbye to the elms, to the farm, to the dog. The bus starts. The light grows richer, the fog, shifting, salty, thin, comes closing in. Its cold, round crystals form and settle in the white hen's feathers, in grey glazed cabbages, on the cabbage roses and lupins like apostles. The sweet bees cling to their wet white string on the whitewashed fences. Bumblebees creep inside the foxgloves, and evening commences. One stop at Bass River, then the economies, lower, middle, upper, 5 islands, 5 houses, where a woman shakes a tablecloth out after supper. Pale flickering, gone. The Tantramar marshes and the smell of salt hay. An iron bridge trembles and a loose plank rattles but doesn't give way. On the left, a red light swims through the dark, a ship's port lantern. 2 rubber boots show, illuminated solemn. A dog gives 1 bark. A woman climbs in with 2 market bags, brisk, freckled, elderly. A grand night, sir, yes, all the way to Boston. She regards us amicably. Moonlight as we enter the New Brunswick woods, hairy, scratchy, splintery, moonlight and mist, caught in them like lamb's wool on bushes in a pasture. The passengers lie back, snores, some long sighs. A dreamy divagation begins in the night, a gentle, auditory, slow hallucination. In the creaking and noises, an old conversation, not concerning us, but recognisable, somewhere back in the bus. Grandparents' voices uninterruptedly talking in eternity. Names being mentioned, things cleared up, finally what he said, what she said, who got pensioned, deaths and sicknesses, the year he remarried, the year something happened, She died in childbirth. That was the son lost when the schooner foundered. He took to drink, yes. She went to the bad. When Amos began to pray even in the store, and finally the family had to put him away. Yes, that peculiar affirmative, yes. A sharp, indrawn breath, half groan, half acceptance, that means life's like that. We know it, also death. Talking the way they talked in the old featherbed, peacefully on and on. Dim lamplight in the hall, down in the kitchen, the dog tucked in her shawl. Now, it's all right now, even to fall asleep, just as on those nights. Suddenly the bus driver stops with a jolt, turns off his lights. A moose has come out of the impenetrable wood and stands there, looms rather, in the middle of the road. It approaches. It sniffs at the bus's hot hood, towering, antlerless, high as a church, homely as a house, or safe as houses. A man's voice assures us, perfectly harmless. Some of the passengers exclaim in whispers, childishly, softly, "Sure are big creatures. It's awful plain. Look, it's a she." Taking her time, she looks the bus over, grand, otherworldly. Why? Why do we all feel, this sweet sensation of joy? "Curious creatures," says our quiet driver, rolling his R's. "Look at that, would you?" Then he shifts the gears. For a moment longer, by craning backward, the moose can be seen on the moonlit macadam. Then there's the dim smell of moose, an acrid smell of gasoline.